Hello. How are you today? Do you want to dive into a book that might just surprise you? Whether it becomes your next favorite or one you might skip, let's find out what readers are saying about it. Anna, who has 180 likes, says, "This was an incredibly heartwarming and whimsical story with a diverse and unique band of characters. I absolutely loved them. They were the heart of this story." Sarah, a young and powerful witch, loses most of her power when she resurrects her great-aunt, the only family she cares about, from the dead. Exiled and with little power, she spends the next 15 years running her inn, a magical inn that's always there for those who need it. Some of the people who found it never left, but now there is a chance for her to restore her power. A spell in a language she doesn't know. Enter Luke, with his adorable sister, who's a magical historian. He's there to help, albeit reluctantly at first. They, along with the rest of the inn family, will embark on a mission to figure out and find everything she needs for the spell. The found family aspect of this book is what captured my heart. While the romance blossoming between Sarah and Luke was a delightful addition, one I like very much, it was all the occupants of the inn that were the center of this story, each of them unique in their own special way, trying to be the truest version of themselves. I really loved the representation. And of course, let's not forget Ruru. He might be my favorite. The story was so beautifully written and I absolutely loved the setting. I laughed, I cried, I fell in love. The only thing I didn't like is that one moment at the end. I won't spoil it, but it will never sit right with me when authors do that. I understand the story sometimes warrants it, but I don't have to like it. This was my first book from this author. But let me tell you, it will not be my last. Can't recommend it enough. Thank you to NetGalley and to Hodder Stoughton for providing me with an ARC. Rita, who has 56 likes, says, "How lucky are we that we can find books that make us sad to be over, but so incredibly happy that we got to read them in the first place. I am a huge fan of Sangu Mandanna and have been since I read her first book. Her writing is beautiful. Her plots are everything I need and more, and her characters feel like family. This book, above all, felt exactly like coming home and gave me so much more excitement to keep working on my own little stories. And isn't it beautiful how art does that? Zira was my hero. She's a grumpy little witch with many dreams and much more love for all the people in her life. She's strong, she's smart, she's hilarious, and she will go to the ends of the earth for the people she loves. Luke is just like her and yet so different. A cold, slightly detached man who just wants what is best for his little sister but ends up finding what's best for him in the most unlikely place, a little magical inn in the middle of nowhere. Matilda, Jasmine, Nicholas, Posey, Theo, Ruru, Clemmy. All these characters are so loved by me. The found family, the coziness, the love in this book just made it one of my all-time favorites. Every once in a while I'll be fortunate enough to find a book that I feel is just right for me, and this book is all that and so much more." Meanwhile, across the country, a certain innkeeper was about to discover that when you hold tight to the little magic you find, when years go by and the world loses much of its color and still you refuse to forget the magic, magic will go out of its way to show you that it remembers you too. Shravali Rekha, who has 24 likes, says, 2.7 stars. One-liner, nice vibes but tries too hard. Sarah Swan went from being one of the most powerful witches in Britain to being exiled from the guild after resurrecting her great-aunt and losing her magic. She runs an inn in Lancashire, dealing with quirky quests and hoping to get her magic back. Then Sarah finds a book that has the secret to restore her power. However, she needs help from Luke Larson, the historian she has a history with. As they work together, Sarah realizes that magic was with her all along. The story comes in the third-person POVs of Sarah and Luke, with random switches to omnipresent POV. My thoughts after enjoying the very secret society of irregular witches adult FIC and loving Vanya and the Wild Hunt MGFIC. I was excited to read this one. While the book has all the vibes you need for a cozy witchy feel-good fiction, they don't translate to a wholesome novel. What I like the setting of the inn, its descriptions, and the magic around it. The place gives safe and homely vibes, which is exactly what it is. The collection of misfits who made the inn their home. Quirky, sweet, and a bit odd, but good people with a huge gray area in the case of Clemmy. Jasmine, the FMC's great aunt. A bit surprised by her backstory, but I guess that was the intention. Posey and Theo, the two kids, make the book easier to read. The concept of the restoration spell and the final ingredients that worked. A few scenes here and there with some laughs and the narration that suited the scenes. What didn't work, the slow pacing should have added to the intrigue but failed to create a proper hook. This is not a book where I can say the story started with a bang. It sadly didn't. The loose plot is pretty thin and depends entirely on vibes to create the required impact. I stopped my first day's reading at 55 and could sum up everything in a single line. The romance was supposed to be a slow burn, but ended up lacking chemistry and emotion. All the right words are there, but the feel is missing. A book with nice diversity and varied themes like racism, immigration, bias, etc. should have been good. Sadly, it doesn't feel natural but more like ticking off a checklist to please the audience. Loads of assurances and you are good as you are speeches that don't do the job. I'd rather they all helped come up with ideas for the spell. That would have been more fun. The climax and ending. After all the struggle and everything, you end up doing this. Come on, there has to be a loophole to fix it. The villain is also all vibes and snobbish with little substance. Give him some meat, even if it is a cozy fantasy. He can play the part better than this. To summarize, A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping has its moments, but it doesn't meet my expectations. The best way to mess up something is to try too hard. Looks like that's what happened here. Thank you, NetGalley and Hotterscape, for the EARC. This review is voluntary and contains my honest opinion about the book. NetGalley, A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. Jenny Reads a Lot, who has 48 likes, says, 5 TikTok IG. Why are these so good? Perfectly cozy romance with a hint of mystery and a lovable found family. I don't really know how to explain it, but these books soothe my soul. I'd happily dive right into this world and live out my years with these fabulous characters. My favorite things: Nicholas the found family, swoony romance, laugh out loud, funny, diverse cast of characters in both personality and whimsy and representation. I love everything about this book. Thank you, NetGalley and Berkeley, for the EARC. All opinions are my own. Ricarda, who has 49 likes, says, what can I say? I expected witchy coziness and I got witchy coziness. But to be honest, something would have to go terribly wrong in a book with a magical house and a quirky found family for me not to like it. Fortunately, this book did many things right. The story is about the 30-year-old witch Sarah Swan who made one mistake when she was a teenager and is paying the price ever since. To be fair, her mistake involved resurrecting her recently deceased aunt and a not-so-recently deceased rooster. Cost her most of her magic and got her exiled from the Guild of Sorcery. Now she lives at her magical inn, and while it's a lovely place and things could be worse, it's just not the life Sarah imagined for herself. So she jumps at the first opportunity to get her magic back. Although it seems pretty impossible to achieve. But fortunately, she has a whole inn of people who are more than willing to help her with this task. First of all, I have to praise the characters and the magic. I liked Sarah a lot. She's grumpy but has a heart of gold, and she's a deeply caring person. She created the inn as a place for people who need a safe space or who just need a break. And where everyone can fully be themselves. She uses the little magic she has left to help everyone around her. And I loved the way how magic was described as some kind of personal reflection of the witch. Casting it, the inn was full of odd but charming guests and lodgers. Like the modern-day knight or the witch trapped in a fox's body. And everyone was thoughtful and understanding. I just love books that create a cozy atmosphere through the characters. And this one did it pretty well. The side characters were not necessarily super complex. But everyone got a little backstory and had their own thing going on. Sarah's love interest, Luke, got his own pav, and I liked that it really added something to the story. Because he works for the guild that Sarah is exiled from. That doesn't mean that he agrees with the views of the guild. And he too has his own problems with it. He was a well-developed character. The romance was cute, and I got the feeling that Sarah and Luke truly understood each other. But the sex scene felt completely out of place for me. I am sorry. It just didn't match the cozy vibes of the rest of the book. Same with the swearing. I mean, cozy fantasy doesn't have to be suited for younger readers. But some things just disrupt a story like this. I also wasn't a fan of the time jump in the beginning. Because it felt a little clunky how only the first 2 chapters were set 15 years ago. And I think that that's too big of a time jump. Because 15 years is a long time to be at the exact same place in life. Especially since Sarah was a child when she lost her magic. I couldn't really grasp what she did in all the years in between and what her plans for the future were. And yes, now she gets a chance to restore her magic. But not thanks to her own doing. It is mentioned that she got depression and had to learn to ask for help first. Though. And I appreciate the representation. The ending was not my thing for multiple reasons. So I put some spoilers. I know it's a cozy fantasy. But everything was terribly convenient in the end. Sarah gets her magic back and then she goes to the guild and gives all the stuck-up people a talk. That things have to change now. And then they just do. Come on. And the way how Sarah loses her big magic again. For the greater good, thanks. I hate it. I know that the point is that she doesn't need her magic to be happy in life. But she spent the last 15 years sulking over it. And now it wasn't so bad, worst trope ever. So yes, I do have some complaints. But I can still call this a good book, and I would recommend it to everyone who's looking for a quick and wholesome read. Huge thanks to NetGalley and Hotterscape for providing a digital ARC in exchange for an honest review.